Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina. And thank you so much for joining us today on TYRO TV.
You know, the word tyro is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior. And what we get to do is to empower others on how to fight for their legacy.
Ew, heck yes. Your legacy means that you have developed a sense of leadership in your home, your community, and your workplace that other people will not forget and will want to emulate. You want to develop a powerful legacy, not just for yourself, but for your children and grandchildren coming after you.
Because that's what it's all about, right? Leaving a mark where you're at. Are you going to leave a mark where you're at? What are they going to say at your funeral? Right?
And how have you led your children to this point? Ron and I, when we first started out our relationship, oh my goodness, was it rocky.
Woo, it was all about me.
No, so that was the problem, because it was all about me. So we could not connect to each other. And we were building a terrible legacy. We were building a legacy of destruction. We were unintentionally leading our children to paths of destruction and pain.
And suffering, right? And though we had good intentions in mind, we didn't even know how to activate good intentions in mind. But with this segment, with what we talk about on TYRO, is really we want to empower you on how to not only create a legacy, as Cathy was saying, but how to pass generation and generation, where no longer are they living in poverty, no longer have the mindset of the entitlement mentality, no longer believe it's all about them, but really how to be an asset, bring value to your community.
And we are no longer perpetuating cycles of brokenness, right? So Ron and I did 15 years in prison. Ron doing time on the inside, well, the boys and I did time on the outside. And the principles that we learned to overcome every challenge are the things we're going to share with you, so that no matter what you face, that you can be successful too.
So stay tuned and we will be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You'll begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Cathy Tijerina's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina, and today we're going to be talking about
how to keep your kids on track.
That is a tough one. We all know. Now, if you have kids that are over the age of 10, you know what we're talking about. Actually, if you have kids, period. Because kids, that human nature comes out, they do things, they defy authority, they do all kinds of crazy things as they test their boundaries. And it is really, really, really important that you know how to realign your kids when they start getting off track, so that you can keep them towards progressing towards successful adulthood.
So dads, check this out. One of the things that we've really got to embrace is our own frailties, our own shortcomings, and everything that we're going to be trying to teach and keep our kids on track. But we got to be real with ourselves. You know what? I want to make sure that as a child, I put away my childish ways. Now that I'm an adult, I want to embrace what it means to be an adult, what it means to be a leader. I don't want to be throwing temper tantrums when I'm telling my kids not to be throwing temper tantrums.
Oh, say that
right?
again.
You know,
that's the truth.
I want to be a grown-up, right? I want to grow up healthy, with honor, with integrity, with loyalty. But if I'm not exhibiting those attributes and those characteristics, then what am I teaching my kids? Right?
Because sometimes your kids are simply emulating what they saw in you. So you may have a past. You may have been doing things that you knew you shouldn't be doing, and at some point decided, you know what, I'm going to change my life and do better things. But you may have actually planted seeds in your children's hearts that are now coming to fruition. So how do you realign them? What we're talking about is when your kids start to get off track, when they start to do things you don't want them to do, start getting into trouble, making bad decisions, How do you help get them right back on the right track without discouraging them, without causing them to become even more rebellious, without causing them to hate you or dislike you or to run to that evil? And so today we're going to talk about, what do you do with that?
You know, and this is a tough subject, you know, especially dads if you got little girls, right? There's one thing to raise sons, this is another thing to raise little girls, this is another thing to raise daughters. And you know what, I got boys and girls, I got 2 sons, we have 2 sons and we have a daughter. And it is night and day. Night and day,
They
right?
each have their own challenges. So our sons are now in their early 30s and our daughter just turned 17. And so we know what it's like to go through those tumultuous, really high hormone years, what it's like to have some actually confrontational disrespect. Like, what do you do with that? How do you manage that? Because every child will go through a phase where they are going to be rejecting your authority. That's normal, that's healthy, because they're trying to transition into adulthood. But how you manage that will determine how they transition and whether or not they are healthy and successful, or whether or not they go off the deep end into bad choices.
And so what we're going to do is today, in today's episode, we want to share with you some key secrets, if you will. And they're really not secrets, right? But I like that word. It's a secret because we're going to empower you that people are going to wonder, how are you keeping your kids in line? How are they so excited about life? How are they talking to you? And how do you get them to sit down at a dinner table and not pick up that cell phone? How do you do this? And you know what? So we're going to empower you today. We're going to talk about some things that you can do as a dad and as a mom to really come across in a way that empowers your kids to want to be with you.
But we also want to tell you, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as a perfect child. And you'll never, ever, don't expect perfection from your spouse, from your co-parent, or your child. We are all a work in progress. But when you are consistent and you apply the principles that we're going to share with you today, then we will guarantee you that throughout the journey that your primary purpose will be to stay connected and have a permanent family. We promise you that that's possible. We promise you that you're going to get through these really trying times. But we also promise you that your boundaries will be tested. We promise you that your child is going to rise up in rebellion over something at some point, and you're going to be equipped to handle it and manage it. You see, with both of my sons, they went through a period of rebellion. Everything is like, I was like, wow, this is awesome. I loved raising them. I loved it. I know you loved it too. And so as they
I raised them from behind bars.
Yeah.
Right?
But it was awesome, the connection that we had.
Yeah.
But they began at one point to just really want to assert their own personalities, make their own decisions. Some of those decisions were contrary to the things I wanted for them. And so we were able to navigate through those periods of life, both my older son and my younger son, and then get to the place where, wow, we're back on the same page of being connected, being able to communicate, and we've got a thriving, healthy relationship. But that didn't happen by accident. How it happened was by being very persistent.
And intentional.
Yes.
You got to be intentional. And one of the things is that we learned, even from me in the visiting room, right, us visiting and me visiting our sons, my sons coming to visit us with Cathy, was I had to listen. I had to hear what their dreams were. You know, Cathy said earlier that we were leading our children into a path of destruction, unconsciously now, mind you, but now that we're conscious, we want to help not only push, but excite to drive our children to what they want to be, what they wanted to do in life, and help find the means to make that happen.
So what we're really also talking about is actually creating inspiration and motivation for your children so that they want to achieve their highest potential, so that they want to do the right things. Because you cannot just get children to do the right thing out of compliance, because you can't always be there. And so when we come back, what we're going to talk about is why it's important to instill those factors in your kids so that when they start to go off track, that they want to get back on track.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through family days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And today we're talking about how to keep your kids not only aligned, but how to get them back on track.
Oh, yes,
Right?
yes. When they start doing things that you really wish they weren't doing.
You know, this is tricky because I tell you, every day is a challenge when you have children. Every day is a new day. But you as a parent, as a father, as a mother, you got to wake up in the morning believing that it's a new day. What happened yesterday? You know, there's some still consequences if you had a battle or you had some issues with your kids, but it's a new day. Remember, you're always on this continuous improvement plan and you're an adult, right? So how much more so are your children on this continuous improvement plan and they're still coming into who they are. They're still trying to figure out their boundaries. They're still in a state of exploring about life itself.
So normal, healthy kids test boundaries. And we need to understand that as parents, because if we think they're not going to test boundaries, then what we're actually doing is stunting their growth. We're holding them into a very dependent stage and into childhood. When children begin to test boundaries, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. And then we reaffirm those boundaries, and then that gives them a sense of safety. Now, I've known a lot of parents that get exhausted and they get tired because they don't want to keep reaffirming those boundaries. But it's so important because when your kids don't have those boundaries, when they don't have that assurance that yes, this is the proper way, this is the expectation, then they start getting, trying to just throw off all boundaries and all restraint, and they just run after the negative things. The opposite is when parents consistently hold down and say, you're going to be perfect all the time, and if you're not, then you know what, you're evil, you're wrong, you're bad, and then what happens is that child begins to shut down and pull back. And then your family is no longer healthy. Remember, the goal is to build a healthy, permanent family. Not a perfect family, but a healthy and permanent family.
You know, when I think about what you're saying, I think about the challenges that our daughter, Bria, would bring, right, and brings to us by challenging those boundaries. I know it's healthy and I know it's good, but at times I have to tell myself, detail, don't take it personal. And that's the key, one of the key secrets, what I said earlier today about secrets, is this is it. You talk about how do you overcome the adversity that's coming at you. It's not about you, Dad.
Yep.
Right? D-tip, don't take it personal. In fact, take it back and say, okay, here's a teachable moment. For who?
All of us.
All of us. We're
right?
all in this continuous improvement plan together. And so when your child seems like it's getting out, she or he is getting out of line, not necessarily getting out of line, they're growing, they're challenging. They're like have you ever brought a puppy home? Right? A puppy is always going to challenge everything you say. It ain't going to sit down. You have to be consistent, but consistency will bring the outcome that you're looking for. Even with your child, eventually they too will submit to your rules of the house.
Right. And so we are always firm, friendly, and fair. And fair means that if we didn't communicate that, then they can't get in trouble. So when we think about establishing boundaries, remember I said just a few seconds ago how important it is for safety. If we want our kids to grow up feeling safe and empowered and confident in who they are, we have to have clear boundaries, and we have to allow them to test those boundaries. They have to know how far they can go. Now, the older they get, the more that I let them test the boundaries, because my goal is to prepare them for adulthood, not to keep them dependent on me the rest of their lives. Now, I think about Bria, so I want to share like the big why. Why is it important to realign? Why is it important to keep your kids on track? Because if you just throw in the towel and say, well, I'm done, I can't do it anymore, or you try to just squash them, either way, you're going to end up with unhealthy in your family dynamics. So Bria is now in junior. When she was a freshman, remember we went through this thing with the phone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at night, you know, having to take away that cell phone, right, that little devil black box. Man, I tell you what, at midnight, why was she on it, you know? Why did she want to talk to somebody? I guess that's what kids do, but not Bria. right? So.
Yeah. So when Bria kept, it wasn't just that she was on her phone at midnight, that she was actually texting and Snapchatting and Instagramming and whatever, FaceTiming with this boy. And so we would take the phone out of her room and she would go get the phone, and we were establishing really solid lines.
So understand real quick, let me put a segue in here. You know, I mentioned the concept DTIP a little bit ago. DTIP, don't take it personal. It took everything in me to not trip. I'm talking to this boy late night, and I have to, it's not about me, it's not about me, it's a learning issue, it's a learning
And consistently defying our rules. And so we would take it, and she would say, I won't do it again, and then she would do it again, and she would do it again. Now, we had to be consistent, because we had a standard that we had to uphold. Not only did we have to be consistent, but we had to actually be calm. We had to be calm and consistent in order to realign her. Now, thankfully, we were able to get her through that situation. We were able to get her and navigate to the place where she was actually making the decision herself that this was not healthy. But in order to get there, we had to understand the importance of making sure that we had a plain path. P-L-A-I-N, plain path. That means very easy to see, very easy to distinguish, that she had no question in her mind what was expected from her.
And that's really crucial right here. When you're realigning your children, they need to see clearly and understand clearly your vision, what you're trying to create in your own culture, your home. Right?
So when we come back, we're going to explain to you how. How do you actually realign a child when they're being disobedient? We're going to share more about Bria's story. We're going to tell you exactly what we did and how it turned out. So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And today we're talking about how to get your kids in line when they're off track.
That's right. How do you get them in line? Line up, babies. But in seriousness, it is really important to recognize the humanity of your children. It's really important to know that they're going to make mistakes.
And you know, when we deal with families that we work with across the United States dealing with domestic violence, this is a serious issue. You know, so if you're experiencing any type of violent situations in your home, call somebody. Get some help. Don't allow it to go on. Don't think that this is normal. Violence in your home is never, never, never acceptable. When you put your hands on somebody to try to discipline them or try to correct them, that's not necessary. Right?
Or consistently screaming and yelling and belittling each other. That's not healthy and that's unnecessary. So what do you do, right? Because it can be really frustrating when your kids are not listening to you. Maybe they're hanging out with the wrong friends. Maybe your kids have started drinking or experimenting with drugs and alcohol, or maybe they started having sex and you're just at your wit's end, you don't know what to do. Well, calm down, first of all. Take a big deep breath. You're not alone. Every parent experiences some kind of rebellion. Every parent, because as they transition out, that's what they do. But what you do and how you manage it will determine whether or not they'll come back on the right path.
So let's go back to the story about Bria, in the phone situation. Because I have one picture in mind of what we dealt with. Because I think, is this the situation where I bought her a cricket?
Yes.
Yeah. So Bria, we set the rules. We set it clearly. I mean, it was as plain as day. She said she acknowledged and she understood the rules. No phone past 10 o'clock. Right? Well, kids will be kids and they will push the line. And when you're not looking, at least when they think you're not looking, they will put their hand back in where? The cookie jar. So
we ended up taking her smartphone away from her, and we said, you know what, welcome to your new best friend. It's a flip phone named Cricket. So she was devastated because all of her friends had these smartphones and she could no longer get on Wi-Fi. She didn't have all of those apps, those chat rooms, and so she had to text like the old-fashioned.
So real quick, I want to really quick share the story about Cricket. So if you remember the show called Pinocchio, well, Pinocchio needed a conscience, right? And so he got Jiminy the Cricket, right? Is that what it was? And so we got Bria the Cricket and we told her, here's your conscience. So every time you flip this phone up, you remember why you don't have a smartphone.
so we continued to align her, and as she got her smartphone back later on, we actually had a program we could watch what she was doing. And so we watched her like walk up to the line, and we saw that she was starting to make some bad choices again. And I told her, and I said, just wait, because we also saw her own conscience where she said, I'm not comfortable with this anymore. I don't like disobeying my parents. I don't like how it makes me feel. I don't like lying. And so we watched it and we let her make her own decision. So we had led her, we had guided her, we had provided that boundary, and now she was taking responsibility, and she finally just said, that's it. You are not my friend because you're consistently asking me to and challenging me to be disrespectful to my parents. So I'm ending this. I'm done. I don't want to talk to you ever again.
And the feeling that, and the reward that it brought to us to watch this evolution in her own consciousness, in her own decision making, is huge, right? We didn't come down with the belt. We didn't have to discipline her in a way that created a sense of punishment.
We weren't helicopter, and as soon as we saw her maybe make a little mistake, we didn't run and say, hey, I saw that text, right? We were like, you know what, let's just wait. If something really dangerous or she really crosses the line, then we'll intervene. In the meantime, we're going to wait, watch, and see if she will actually realign based upon what she knows to do. So that's our encouragement to you is number one, first of all, those 3 F's we gave you are really important. Be firm, friendly, and fair. She already knew the rules, and so in all fairness, we took her phone away, we gave her the next phone and said, if you do these things, you'll lose it. So she knew as she went in, as she was being encouraged to break the rules, she chose not to do it because she knew what the rules were. So that's number one, the 3 F's.
And number 2, clearly communicate expectations. This is crucial because you're going to hear your child say, I didn't know. I didn't know. That's why I didn't know. But when you clearly articulate it in a way that they understand it, and there's no gray and black in it, here it is, as plain as day.
Right.
There's no excuses anymore, and they will acknowledge that, and they will appreciate that.
And the third way to ensure and to keep your kids, keep your family healthy and strong in spite of the stumbles you might encounter, is you want to make sure that you do not make every encounter you have with your child all about the mistake they made. Because if you harp on that and your whole relationship is about them breaking curfew 2 weeks ago, then you're going to start to lose trust in your relationship and your communication is going to break down. So you want to address the behavior and then leave it there. You don't need to bring it up every single time that you see your child or you encounter your kids. Enjoy your family connectivity and then leave that situation in that one spot.
And one more, reward them. By saying great job, when you know they've done the right thing. You gotta acknowledge that, celebrate that with them, to let them know how proud of them you are. A lot of times we're quick to tell them when they're wrong. We're quick to tell them, you know what, shame on you. You know what, I'm disappointed in you. You shouldn't have. Why did you do that? These words, they hurt. But after they correct themselves and after they start to demonstrate they can be responsible, that's the time just like you want to be validated, you want to be celebrated, you want somebody to pat you on the back. Well, you know what? So do they. And coming from you, Dad, is so much bigger than coming from their friend. When Dad says, you know what? I'm proud of you. Great job.
So the first one is firm, friendly, and fair. The second one is?
Make sure that your vision is clear, what your expectations that you're putting on the table, that everybody understands what they are.
And the third one is when they make mistakes and mess up, don't make that who they are. Keep it just something, a mistake, something that they've done.
And the last one, celebrate them when they're doing the right thing.
Woohoo! Affirm, 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 affirm. And when you keep those lines of communication open, when they know that you are going to be friendly and fair, even though you might be firm, they are going to be quick to come to you and let you know when they're struggling with something. They're going to know that they're going to be restored in relationship to you when they break down and make a mistake. And you are teaching them lifelong lessons about, you know what, when you fall down, there's still opportunity to stand up and let that just be an event and not become a lifestyle. And that's the tone that you want to set in your house for your family.
I want to add one more, hon. I want to add one more. Hug more, help less. Look, you don't always have to try to fix it with your words. Sometimes all you got to do is walk up. If you got a little girl, give them a hug. That's all you got to do. Give them a hug.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Cathy Ron Tijerina's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And this has been a wonderful, wonderful segment. I hope that you not only enjoyed it as much as we have, talking about how to realign your kids. Right?
It is a challenge.
It is a challenge, you know, and we just talked a little bit about it, but you're going to be challenged, you're going to be tried, and you might come to a point of where you're at your wits' end, but don't give up on them.
The struggle is real, and it's real for everybody. There is no family that is perfect. There is no family that is left untouched by some sort of a disobedience or disrespect, right? You're not the only one. Your child is not a bad seed, right? So what you need to do is be strong, confident, consistent, firm, friendly, fair, and make sure that you accept your child and help them understand that that was an event, not a lifestyle, that their choice was wrong, but it doesn't make them bad.
So continue to edify them, continue to tell them, you know, you're proud of them. When they do great things, you know, don't forget, that's a big deal. Even the little things they do, if they wash the dishes, tell them great job. If they take the garbage out, great job. Because, you know, sometimes I got to be told, even as an adult, don't forget it's garbage day. And guess what? The next day, I forget. Right? So we all make mistakes. We all fall short. But it doesn't mean that your kids are not, you can still get them back online. Mm-hmm. They're going to make mistakes.
By teaching and modeling healthy relationship and healthy communication, you are going to make sure that your family is strong and thriving together instead of becoming fragmented, instead of becoming destroyed, which is what anger, bitterness, fear, unforgiveness will create. And so make sure that when you see your children begin to go off track, that you gently, firmly, in a friendly and fair way, realign them and help them make their own decisions. The older they get, the more room you have to give them to fail and to realize it and to fix it and just be there to help them.
So dads, don't give up on your kids. Don't give up when they're making mistakes. I know, and you got to practice D-tip. I can't tell you enough. Don't take it personal. But they will appreciate it, so when they do leave the house and they know who to call, they're going to call you because they can count on you. Because why? You've been firm, you've been friendly, and yes, you were fair.
And consistent and caring, right? So all of those things. And that's not a hard job to do when you think about it. It's like, you know what, this is a season of life that you are helping your children become responsible, healthy adults. And it's just a short season. So stay focused, stay encouraged. You're doing a great job. We want to thank you for taking this time to allow us to be part of your lives.
So until next time, always remember that we are rooting for you.